It's recording right now.
Oh,
The
okay.
light's on.
Good.
We're recording right now. We're with Awesome Ollie at the library. We're recording right now.
We're recording?
Right now we're recording.
You got
right
me
here.
on. Hi, everybody.
We're all recording right now,
We're
live.
This is recording too?
That's
Not
recording.
recording. Lights.
I feel
action,
like I've been.
Camera. We got Awesome
No,
Ollie here at the library.
Wait a minute.
Library.
Are you sure we're not in jail here?
Yeah,
You know?
pretty soon after this.
Yeah.
So we got freedom for journalists for
Yeah.
Peter Malone. He's going to do an interview
Yep.
with Awesome Ollie, the King of Sting. The
King of
sax,
Sting. I like that one.
The sax symbol of Windsor, Ontario,
one mic.
in the greater area.
Ontario.
That's
Ontario.
recording,
Windsor,
I'm only getting one loud
the
mic.
greater
I'm gonna share on
area
camera.
with
I know
sax
why.
symbol.
Are you getting his?
We're all good in the.
The important thing is this one has a good zoom in on it. Just start recording and let's get the show on the road.
Awesome Ollie, the
All over
sax
the globe,
symbol of Windsor, greater Detroit area. Because he played in Detroit too, right?
Alright.
Played all over.
Okay.
All right, let's
They're
do
playing
it.
recording.
Right from Alberta down to
Recording.
Florida.
Okay.
Even in
This
Orlando.
is recording.
Okay.
This is recording.
Go for it.
Okay. All right.
Fucking focus though. What the frick?
Okay. Now we have tech. Okay. 1, 2, 3. FreedomForTourists.com, and I'm here with Sexy OLLIE, saxophone from Windsor, Detroit. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here, man. I suppose you want to know how I got into music.
Yes.
Well, it started in grade 9 in W.D. Lowe. I started playing saxophone. And that was early. But then when I left school, I got into a band called Gino and the Jackpots. And that was Gino Washington out of Detroit. And he was and it was all white fellas here, Canadians, and he was a black gentleman from Detroit. And we did a lot over there. We played Greystone Ballroom. We played all over the places, and all the teen dances and places like that. And that went on for about 2 years. And then Barry Gordy from Motown Music over there took himself and left the band here. So there we were. Everyone didn't have a job. But the booking agent that we had turned around and says, I know right where to put you. So he gave me this gentleman's phone number, and I went in there and I joined that band, and we were playing in all the bars around Windsor. In fact, at one time, we changed the name from Phil Bastien and the Torpedoes to Starliners. And we were booked the whole week. And that's when the Windsor newspaper had ads in there for every band that was playing through the week. But the thing was, there was no room in the newspaper for anybody else except us. So we did that. I stayed with those guys for about 9 years, and then they retired. And I ended up with a fella, we just did a thing at ALS at the 594 Legion. And Ronnie Mayhew was in a band called Corvettes, and they won the team thing in 1962, I think it was. And then him and I got together, and we were playing all the little bars around here under the name Ronnie and the Vibratones. Then he went on with his life, I went on with my life. And from then on, I started graduating up, and then when I got 33 years playing music, my wife said to me, she says, when are you going to quit? I said, right now, because I didn't have a job. 5 minutes later, phone call. Ken Kokstad, Brand X. Ollie, how'd you like to join our band? So it was only 3-piece. I was with them for 12 years. we were one of the top bands around here. So then I left them and I started playing all the car shows and everything else. I was doing car shows. I had a band called OLLIE Cats, and we were doing everything we could. And the last car show I had was in Amherstburg.
What year was that?
And I was, at that time, I had 540 cars
Wow.
in Amherstburg on a Sunday. The Rotary Club picked me up and asked if I could help them with their Rib Fest out there. I ran the entertainment. I had guys coming in from New York, I had guys coming in from Toronto, I had guys coming in from London, wherever, bands, and we had all kinds of entertainment in there. We were getting 15,000 people in there in 3 days every year. Then I started playing more blues with my sax here, and I ended up playing for Chartwell, and I was 67. And at that time I turned around and I went into their competition, and I won their competition, first prize, because I did a song called Ebb Tide, which nobody thought I would ever play anything like that, but I did. Then I turned around and I started playing in all the blues bands up in London and Toronto and all those areas. And Harp Dog Brahm was one of them in Hamilton that I played with. God rest his soul, he's since gone. Chris Murphy was at the Wortley in London. Stanley Brown Blues Band, I played with them. I still play with Stanley Brown and those guys. Play with Bad Mustache out here at the Peacock Lounge. We're going to be there on the 19th of this month. So we're doing pretty good, you know. And at my age, I still got the first saxophone I ever bought.
What age were you when you first started?
When I started playing was in high school when I was 14, and I wanted to play trumpet. But this teacher come up and handed me this big old box, and he said, "Here, play this." I said, "What is it?" He says, "Saxophone." Well, you know, I didn't really get into it until I was with Gino and the Jackpots, and then I started progressing in, and then we ended up, I was playing in bands like the Coronados, and I was playing at the Embassy. I was playing all the places around here, and we lost a lot of bars, a lot of entertainment. Back in those days, it was really great to have, you know, to play somewhere, but it seems like today there's not that many bars because I can count.
Did you ever play at Aardvarks? Did you ever play at the bar Aardvarks in Windsor?
No, I didn't play Aardvarks. That was downstairs. That was where the Niagara restaurant was. I was too busy playing at the Riviera.
Oh, what?
At the time. We were playing 6 nights a week there. They had, that place held 450 people, and it was packed every night. We had go-go girls and all that jazz, you know, for some like $70 a week, you know. We played.
So my next question to you is, where do you see the future of jazz?
What I see with the music, there's only 3 areas that I see that it's any entertainment anymore. Is in the Legions, you got the average band that plays, and they play all kinds of music. But then you have like a place like Aardvarks would be. You got they're doing the indie music and the heavy rock, and then you got blues bars like Peacock Lounge out in Essex and Lion's Head, places like that. Most of my time now is from Sarnia over to Niagara Falls. That's why you don't see much of me around here, but now I'm starting to get back into Windsor, you know, because there is a lot of entertainment places you can play, and there's a lot of nice bands that I play with, you know, like Crowbar Hotel, Bad Mustache, and other bands, you know, that are there. But like I said, we had this thing yesterday at the 594 Legion for ALS, and they raised $3,400, And 90% of those gentlemen were from the 60s that was doing all the entertainment. So I fit in there like a glove, you know, and I had a chance to play with 3 different groups. And I was playing at the Walkerville Eatery, which is the old Metropole, or 917 at the time. And I was playing there with Rick Morrison, who was the lead singer in the Black Sheep then, in the 60s. So, you know, like, music has turned, you know, around. And we actually, you know, you got to hand it off to the younger kids, you know. You got to give them the enthusiasm. When I go out and I jam somewhere and some young guy comes up and he's not that good, or, you know, he needs a little boost, I'm there to boost him. I'll help him as much as I can, you know. I got guys calling me from, well, there's one guy in Sarnia calling me, can you teach me some music? And there's another guy last night, can you teach me some of them? And, you know, they know how to play sax, but they're playing with the notes. I don't play with the notes.
You play any other instruments? You play any
No, just this little baby that I got right here. This Selmer horn was made in 1954, and I'm pretty sure it was with the artillery shells of World War II. They didn't know what to do in Paris with all of the brass, so they made instruments. And this one here, I've had 4 or 5 different horns, and this one here has just been just beautiful.
And how many bands have you been in?
I have been in probably about 12.
Any of those bands with any famous people?
Well, George Young and the Youngsters, they were from there. And then I was in the union in the 80s here, Musicians Union. They called up and they said, wow, we hear you're a rock and roll player. Yeah, that's why you don't give me any jobs, because I don't do dance band. So they said, well, we have this band that's coming into the embassy. We'd like you to go down there. It has to have one Canadian playing with them. And I walked in and it was Johnny and the Hurricanes. I knew most of their stuff, but I got to play with them, you know. And there was another band, Sunliners, that were upstairs at the Metropole. When I was downstairs, I'd go up and play with them because they had 2 other horn players and that. Stanley Brown, he's quite famous. They've got Maple Blues Awards. Chuck Jackson, Downchild Blues Band, I played with him a lot. Last time I played with him was up in Niagara Falls. I walked in for dinner, and there he is playing. He says, "Ollie, you got your horn?" Yeah, I do. So we got up and did stuff like Flip, Flop, and Fly and things like that. But I find that there's a lot of good entertainers coming up that are younger than me, and they're doing well. They're really busting their butt to get there. And the problem with Canada is we've had a lot of great entertainers coming out of Canada, but unless they go to the States and they start there, and then come back to Canada, they'll get their breaks down there.
So you're saying that the saxophone is more recognized in the States than...
Yes, it is, yeah. In fact, this horn, I sent it away, oh, it's got to be 30 years ago, to Elkhart, Indiana, to have it rebuilt. And it disappeared. And I called the fella and I said, "You got my saxophone?" He said, "Well," he said, "I got it on loan while I got somebody else's." I said, "Well, who's playing my horn?" He said, "Boots Randolph, Yakety sax guy. He wanted to buy the horn." I said, "No, it's my heart, you know." And that's what you got to think about music, you know, is it comes from the heart, not from the pages that you're reading. If you want to play, all right, memorize it. Play it from your heart. And that's the way I am. I can walk into almost any band. I'm not bragging. I can walk, like, there was a band in Niagara Falls I walked into. Wilbur James Blues Band. I plugged in there. 2 minutes before they played, and I says, can I get up with you? He said, well, we haven't rehearsed. I said, don't worry about it. By the time the set was ended, people were asking him, how long have you had that guy? He said, I haven't even met him. Haven't even met him. And I played with him in Buffalo and Niagara Falls and all over in that area, you know, and Heart Dog Brown, he's from British Columbia, and I have a friend out there who called me up. He said, Heart Dog Brown wants to meet you. So he gave me his number and he said, listen, I'm coming to Hamilton at the Casbah. Could you come and meet me there? So I walked in and there's this great big gentleman, tweed suit, spats, everything else, and they're doing all Louisiana stuff. And he said, we'll get you up for a couple of numbers. So I got up there, and the first song I just followed them. The second song, he looked at me for a lead, and I just held one note for 16 bars and brought the house down. He looks over and he says, you're staying here. So we played the rest of the night, and you know, that's the last I've seen of him, but I've seen a lot. He's got a lot of albums out and everything else, but God rest his soul, he passed on, and they had a beautiful band. But I played the competitions down here for with a band called Whiplash out of London, and came down here to the casino, and we did the Memphis competition, and we came in second. We came in first in London, and you know, like, I played at Alibis here. That's before they tore it down for the freeway, Alibis Boogie Band, and I met the gentleman that owned it last night, and he said, Ollie, you still got it. I said, it's never left me. It's just everybody else had left. You know, they've passed on and things like that. But at my age, I'm not giving up. You'll take this out of my hands when I'm dead.
What creative processes do you go through when you're creating your music?
Well, you know, like I did a couple of CDs of myself with some backtracks, and I did all kinds. Like when Jimi Hendrix came in, I was in a top 40 band, and when he came in, it was all tie-dyed shirts and everything else. Dressing like this was out, so they turned around and couldn't get a job. So I went into country music, and I started playing country music. So I ended up in Nashville, I ended up in Kentucky, I ended up in, you know, Louisiana, places like that. I played Orlando in the airport.
Wow.
I had played in a bar in Orlando, and I went to get on the airplane, and they asked me to play in the airport. So I started playing in the airport. I don't know how many people have had the chance to do something like that. There was one place that's, I shouldn't say it, but it was a nudist resort, and I played there. I played at funerals, you know, right beside the gentleman in a casket and things like that. And that's kind of hard on the body, but you know, there's a lot of hard knocks in music.
Back to the nudist resort. Would you say that would be the most awkward place you perform?
Well, I didn't, you know, when I could tell you that story.
No, I'm just asking, like, it was the most awkward place that you ever had to play, or is there more awkward places that you
Well, it wasn't awkward because we didn't have to take our clothes off or anything, you know, we just walked in. But it was high price. It was $5,000 a year membership in there. So it wasn't like just the ordinary crowd. But they had a beautiful place, and before you went and had a meal, you had to wash and everything else, and they had every kind of, they had 2 50-foot tables full of food, and I had never ate so much in all my life. And I enjoyed that. I could go back there and do it again probably, you know. But
What would be the most awkward place, the most place that you felt most awkward performing at?
the most awkward place, senior homes.
Oh, wow.
I did a lot of senior homes, and like you walk out there and I got backtracks and I'm doing old standards, and you look out and there's all these people in their 80s and 90s sitting there, and you look and I go thinking to myself, I hope I do it right for them, and the one place, there was one at Mill Street in Wyandotte, and there was a lady in there, and she had just moved in, and she was withdrawn by it. She wouldn't associate with anybody, so they put her up near the front of me. She's in a wheelchair, and I turn around and I started to play a song. Took my jacket off, and I had a beautiful silk shirt on, and I walked over while the backtracks were playing, and I hugged her, and I put her head to my chest, and I gave her a kiss on the forehead. And as I walked away, I turned around and looked back. I said, honey, you turned me on. And she started to laugh. It was the first time in 2 months that woman ever laughed. And the next thing you know, the next time I went in there, she was with the rest of the people. And that's the way I try to reach out to people. I want not just to play the sax and play music. I want to put something in your heart, so you walk away and you feel good about it. That's the way I am, and I've always been that way. And when I go out to play somewhere, if I see someone sitting in the back and he's not, I'll walk over and say, hi, my name's Ollie, what's your name? And if I get up on the stage, I'll say, I'd like to dedicate a song to that fellow, Same with a girl, There's been a lot of people that know me, over the years and that. I met a lot of people yesterday that, that we had been back in the 60s and the 70s, and we all enjoyed ourselves,
With us being next to Detroit, is there any gems of places in Detroit that still exist where you can hear jazz music?
I played at the Surfside for about 2 weeks. That was down on Jefferson. It's now a funeral home. And there was another one, Dutch's Lounge, Dutch's Bar. That was down on 7 Mile and Van Dyke. And I was in there playing away, and who walks in the door with a couple of bodyguards? It was Chuck Berry.
No way.
He got up and he did Bo Diddley and a few other ones, and I'm just standing back there in awe, When I was playing at the Metropole, Frankie Lane was upstairs. That's the type of acts that he was bringing in there, and Johnny Ray and all those guys, they all came in. But the one thing was Joe Messina. He was part of the Motown bash over Detroit, and I got to play with him, and I really enjoyed that, because we had some good times. I would be playing downstairs, and then I'd go play upstairs with those guys on my break. One time I was playing at the French Canadian Center, and the manager called me up. This is on New Year's. And he said, Ollie, he said, I need a band. The band backed out for New Year's upstairs. I said, leave it to me. So I went and I got a drums, PA, everything, and I set it up upstairs, and the guys came in to play downstairs, and I said, you're not getting a break tonight. I said, what do you mean? I said, you're going to play here 35 minutes, you're going upstairs, and you're going to play down there for 35 minutes. We're playing two shows. And I got to tell you, those guys put it together. And the one thing about it, Noe Bastien, the drummer, was totally blind. And that guy was the most great fella. And the only one alive is Ernie Hebert, is the guitar player. And I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He's not playing anymore. So I'm the last guy to play,
With you being saying you're the last guy playing, are you teaching the younger generation how to play saxophone?
Yeah, no, I don't really teach, but I try to give them enthusiasm. You know, I've had guys come up that can't, you know, they just below the grade. I'll just say, no, don't do that. You know, do this. You know, and I'll get them up beside me, and I'll say, okay, this is the part I want you to play, and I'll play the harmony to them. And then we had one guy when I was with Brand X come in. He's down in Florida, and he'd come in every weekend, and we would do a few things. And then he disappeared for about 6 months, and he'd come back. I said, where you been? He said, well, he said, what I was doing, I was trying to get a horn group for the casino together. He said, and you helped me break loose from where I was locked up. He said, so when I went back to play with those guys, they looked at me and said, you've been with the specialist. What? You've been with OLLIE. So I've got a way with my horn that a lot of guys can do it, but don't do it, you know? And like, if I was to walk into a band, just give me the key of what it is, and I'll play it for you.
And what was your last album you played?
The last album.
The last album.
Well, that's got to be 10 years ago. And I don't know whether you noticed on this jacket, I had a fire in my home.
Yeah.
And this jacket got burnt, and I sent it to Toronto for them to clean it up enough that I could use it. And I only use it on special occasions. I go out like every average guy to play music. And I walk up and just say, you know, can I play with you? I went down to Virginia, and my buddy down there says, well, let's go to a bar. So I walked into his car, and we ended up in Kentucky. And walked into this place, and there's these two guys. John Morrison, I think his name was. And DJ Morrison, that's who it was. And he turned around, and they were doing bluegrass. Louisiana style, like, says, do you mind if I sit in with you? So he said, well, where are you from? I said, Windsor, Ontario. He said, well, next set. So he announced that we got this guy from Windsor, Ontario. He's going to come in and bring his guitar in and play. I laughed when I walked in with the horn. And he said, saxophone? I said, get it on. And this guy couldn't believe, you know, what he was hearing, because I love Louisiana style music. And I played with a few artists like that, you know, over in Tennessee and that, and I enjoyed myself, you know. I played in Wainwright, Alberta, and that's where the military base is. And there was a little bar down there called the Honey Pot. Well, me and my buddy went, they're drinking that red eye this high, you know, and we went down to another place in Edgerton, and I got in there and I played in there. And when we left there, they were both soaked, and I had to drive, and I never knew any place over there, so I had to drive their car back. I said, you guys got to stay awake enough for me to find me my way back, you know. But I enjoyed it out there. I played in Sarnia, Ups and Downs. I played in the Wardley in London. I played the East Side Bar. If you go on YouTube and dial in my name, OLLIE Marcoux, you're going to see about 6 different bands that I played with.
What's your latest band that you're in now?
I'm playing with Bad Mustache, and they're a 3-piece band.
And that's the latest band right now, right?
Yeah, and they you know, called me up. Stanley Brown Blues Band out of London. I played with them. We played through the summer. He's up-tempo Louisiana style, and I love him for that. And he, you know, and then Crowbar Hotel. They're usually playing out at the La Rocca on Friday nights, and they have the jam sessions. So you meet all kinds of entertainers, you know. And that's the way it used to be in London. You know, I'd go up there to East Side Bar, and on Sundays, I'd drive all that way, no money involved, just go up there and enjoy with all the people that were up there, you know.
And I heard you just recently got an award. And is that basketball? Is that correct?
Well, I got an award for doing with Brand X and that. We did a lot of awards for hospice, police association, Children's Aid, Easter Seals. I had a stack that high of awards, you know, that thank you very much for everything that you've done. And that all disappeared in my home. But it's in my heart, it's in my memories, and that's where it should be. I've got an award for when I did that Chartwell competition. There was, I'd say, in that home out here in LaSalle, there had to be 4 or 5 tenor singers that used to be frontmen. Well, I'm looking at that and I can't do that. You know, I can't keep up with them. So what I did, there was Freddie Chadwick. He was playing at the old Forest House. And I turned around and my mother-in-law and father-in-law said, "Oh, you should come down and listen to him. You know, he's got a big Hammond organ and everything. It's not my kind of music." But I went one night, and this guy had a carousel there. The lights came down. You heard the seashore, you heard the birds, and then he played Ebb Tide. That's over 35 years ago. That song stuck in my heart. And then I started thinking about what I was going to do in that competition. And I thought, you know, I'm going to do a skit. So I come out dressed like a janitor. I had a rag in my pocket, work boots on, but I had the sax sitting on the stand with this coat over top and this hat over top. And I'm pushing a broom, cleaning the stage. Next thing you know, boom, boom, diddity, boom, 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 diddity, boom. So then I look around and there's nobody there. So I put the broom up and I pick up the hat and the coat and I'm dancing around a little bit. Then when I pick up the sax, the music stops. Then all of a sudden you hear the birds and the ocean. And I'm looking around like, wow. But as you notice on the back of this jacket, it says OLLIE. So what happened is, this was at the theater in the mall. The guy had lights on me, and I turned around looking for the birds. And I could hear everybody in the audience, wow. So then I did Ebb Tide. I played the whole song. The last note is a C, and I held that C about 16 bars after the music stopped. First prize, I went to London and I won down there second prize twice, 2 different functions there. I got the trophies and that for winning, you know. But it was all about putting your heart into your music, and I don't care what kind of music you play. If you're playing hard rock, do it right. You know? Do it right. If you're playing country, I can walk into a lot of country bands. I can play country too. I can play heavy stuff. But that's not my bag. You know? My bag right now is just satisfying people and having people come to me and say, "You did a good job." You know what I mean?
Well, you did a good job.
Well, thank
What
you.
song are you going to be playing for us right now?
Well, I don't have anything that, I suppose I could do a little bit of Ebb Tide.
Okay, bring it on.
All right, give me a minute to get down off this chair,
All right.
and we'll take care of that.
Turn around, old man.
Yeah.
Say that pretty face.
Okay, that's I'm gonna hook it up to there.